Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Bridget Jones's Baby is the final film in the epic trilogy of Bridget Jones and her love life. This one taking place almost a decade after the previous film. This one starts with Bridget Jones. It's her birthday. She is alone on her birthday, her 43rd birthday to be specifically accurate and to the point. Bridget doing her own thing. She's like perpetually single, which is fine. There's nothing wrong. The problem with society acting like it is necessary for somebody to be in a relationship, to get married, is ridiculous. Like, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being single. People are perfectly capable of being single. Although Bridget is the type of person that is striving to be in love with somebody, striving to be in a relationship, even though her previous relationship with Mark Darcy did not last. This one, she goes to a funeral. Old Cleaver passed away from the previous films, no longer with us, going to the funeral where the church is full of his previous conquests. And at the funeral, Mark Darcy shows up as well, having been somebody that he, just to pay his respects, I suppose. Bridget goes up and gives her awkward last words. But interesting that they killed him off. But nonetheless, obviously, if you've seen the poster for Bridget Jones' Baby, he is not in this film. Hugh Grant, his name is Daniel Cleaver. So Daniel Cleaver, Hugh Grant, not in this film, no longer alive in the universe of Bridget Jones. Bridget is now the top producer still at the same station. She is the top producer, moving on up. So she has found success in her career while not finding any success in her dating life, which is one of the reasons why not being in a relationship is a good thing. You can focus on things involving yourself, whether it be growing your career or just bettering yourself in general. She goes to a music festival, which is fun. Definitely feels like I relate to that quite a bit. She has no idea who one of these music stars is, and asks him to take a picture of her, and she has no idea who he is. See if he's even on this thing. No, he's not. Of course not. But she hooks up with this dude in a yurt, drunk after the concert, trying to find her yurt. She walks into the wrong one, has a fling with a dude in a yurt, the yurt hookup. Then she's at a christening, and she runs into Mark Darcy, who is there. They are both the godparents of this child, one of her friends, and it's awkward for her. She saw him at the funeral. He had his wife at the time was there with her, Rebecca. No, not Rebecca, somebody else. I think she was from the first film. So they're there at the christening, and at the after party of the christening, they kind of, get to talking, and she realizes that he is divorced. He's going through a divorce. They just kind of showed up at the funeral for appearances, and he is moving out, and they kind of rekindle a thing, because there's clearly something between them, despite the fact that he is a little snooty and not really good at expressing his emotions. He's more of a person who shows his love. His love language is doing things, is an act of service for something where she needs more of words and touches and feels. But they hook up as well. And it's a kind of a great way to set up the fact that she ends up getting pregnant and she doesn't know who it is, right? She's 43. She's having fun, enjoying life, going to a music festival, doing these things like going to the christening, the party, hooking up with different dudes, trying to be safe, trying to use protection, but of course, as Bridget would, is using these vegan, dolphin-friendly condoms that are not the most reliable thing. Using condoms in general is kind of like, they suck, first off, but like the fact that they do fail is like, I don't know. I'm rely far more on the pharmaceutical protection than a latex covering. But her condoms weren't even the latex. They were like some off-brand vegan ones that have been sitting at the bottom of her purse for like a decade. The box is all worn up. Like, just definitely not something I would trust. And now a quick word from our sponsor. Now you can wear The Many Faces, original art by Ray Taylor. Select pieces from the ongoing series of abstract ink paintings. All products made with high-quality materials, made right here in the USA. Go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF merch to browse the entire collection and save yourself an extra 10% when you check out by using coupon code RTSTMF. So once again, go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF merch and save 10% when you use coupon code RTSTMF. And now, back to our show. Not even knowing, finding out she's pregnant, then she has to like trying to ask the doctor like what she thinks, how long it's been, and the doctor kind of narrows it down to kind of in between the two people that Bridget had sex with. Kind of funny. Doctor clearly knows what she's getting at. She's not fooling the doctor. The doctor knows that she just doesn't know who the father is. So Bridget doesn't know, which is the whole setup for this movie, which I appreciate this movie doing something different. Like, instead of it being like, once she finally tells, she has to find out who this other guy is. She finds out that there's like an advertisement on TV for this dating website. And he is the guy who runs the dating website. He is this dating website guru who's a billionaire, apparently. And so she knows, and using her connections at her news place, her media company that she runs, or that she's a producer of, is able to get him to appear, to try and get some of his DNA, to get it tested to see if it's him. Then there's like this other thing, this other kind of live event that the news organization is doing, where people can submit live things, and we see another edition of butts in this movie. Instead of Bridget's butt being slammed in front of a camera, it is people, a bunch of dudes showing their butts to kind of troll this new technology that their news organization is doing, which I thought that was funny. And kind of a twist on the whole butt gag, as it were. And there's the whole situation where Mark Darcy shows up. This other dude shows up as well, who the other dude is named... What is his name? Why is it... It's weird how IMDb... Patrick Dempsey. Patrick Dempsey is the other guy. And they both show up to this presentation, and after the presentation, they all go to dinner, and Bridget, in the most Bridget Jones way, kind of tells them that you're both potentially the father. I don't know which one of you is the father. And then this movie does something that I found interesting. It's like these guys are competing over who can be more supportive as she's pregnant. Like, instead of fighting as in previous movies where they're physically fighting over things, Cleaver versus Darcy, you have these two guys competing over who could be more supportive. And the idea that a billionaire who is having potentially an illegitimate child would be at all present present, let alone supportive of the situation, is kind of crazy. Like, out of the crazy things in a rom-com to have, a billionaire who is single, perpetually single, has no desire to be in a relationship, is all of a sudden being supportive and dedicated to Bridget, who is not even for sure the father. Like, he's doing it for the potential that he's even the father, which they don't know yet. But other than that, I thought it was fun that they're both kind of competing. That's how they're competing for her love and attention. And you see Bridget, instead of writing in her regular paper diary, the technology's moved up to where she's typing into her diary on a tablet, which I thought was a nice little change for the movie itself. She's hiding her pregnancy from her parents. Her mom is running for some kind of political thing and, you know, running on family values and all this stuff. And probably just to not have to deal with her parents, the drama that would bring into it. She's trying to cover it up, but obviously she gets found out going to an event for her mom. And then I thought one of the funniest scenes is when she, like, there's the back and forth, them competing over support, and then there's a situation where Dempsey's character is like, makes it seem like he didn't wear a condom when they had sex, to make it seem like it was probably his kid, to kind of get Mark Darcy out of the picture. There's a scene where Darcy comes back, and in that scene she like gets pregnant, and he has to carry her to the hospital because he threw his phone away because the phone was ringing, and it's his job again. And he's like, I'm going to show her that I'm here for her, and that I'm not going to be distracted by my job, so I'm going to throw the phone out. And it's like, well, now how are we going to get an Uber? So he ends up having to carry. The other dude shows up, and they, like, it's kind of, it's heartwarming to see this kind of collaboration, to see this kind of teamwork happening to help Bridget. Like, it's clear in this movie that everybody around Bridget loves Bridget. When she's giving birth, everybody in the studio at work is like cheering for her. These guys are doing everything to be supportive in every way they can. And where they're carrying her to the hospital is a fun scene. The hospital looks like futuristic. Like, I haven't been to a hospital in a long time. I haven't been to a doctor in a long time. But the hospital they go to looks state of the art. Like, not only the lobby area, but also the room that she gets taken to where she's given birth. It looks like super high tech. Like something, like, I don't know if hospitals in the UK look like this because it looks fake. It doesn't look like a hospital. Like, maybe some high-end hospital that's in a really wealthy area in the US probably looks like this. But in general, it looks something that's like out of a sci-fi movie almost. Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. And during the pregnancy, you see that, like, she goes to, like, both dudes are trying to comfort her, and she goes to grab the hand, and she moves, doesn't grab the other dude's hand. She grabs Mark Darcy's hand, and it's like it was always gonna be Mark Darcy, even though this other guy is a billionaire. She would never have to worry about money. He's definitely a sweet guy, like as opposed to the previous movies where it's Mark Darcy competing against this dirtbag. Like, both of these guys are nice guys. The other guy has more to offer, being a billionaire, but not like Mark Darcy's some kind of slub. He's, one of the best lawyers. But of course it was always going to be Mark Darcy. And after the pregnancy, they do the test to find out who the father was. They don't show the results. It cuts to a wedding, and there's a nice little misdirect at the wedding, which I appreciated, where, she's going down the aisle, and then she sees this other dude. She sees the billionaire dude holding her kid. So you think that, like, oh, that's who it was. She's marrying that guy. But of course, he steps aside, and you see Mark Darcy there, clearly. After the wedding, Mark Darcy kind of implies that it's his kid. It's not really 100% stated that it was found out to be his kid. It makes sense that it was his kid by how he's acting. Still doesn't make sense why that billionaire guy is still around unless it was his kid. Like, I could see him wanting to be involved if it was his kid. But aside from that, it's definitely from top to bottom, this movie is just full of positivity. It's probably, and it's not as, like, goofy wacky. Like, the other movies, definitely more wacky. Like, there's no scenes where she's, like, skiing down a mountain and wins a competition. There's none of that kind of wackiness in this. It's all pretty grounded. I mean, aside from the wackiest part is a billionaire that would stick around and them carrying her to the hospital. Those are kind of the wackiest parts of this movie. But for the most part, it's just everybody being positive, everybody being supportive of Bridget, which I love. It feels like a good way to end the franchise, having everybody kind of celebrating the main character in a way, having the main character succeed in getting married, getting married to the person that's been there from the beginning, that's always loved her and shown his love despite being in his own kind of very mellow way. Obviously, Mark Darcy was the guy. And it's not like they have to worry about money. They're now friends with a billionaire. But the movie does, despite it being a nice kind of way to wrap up, it does leave open for a fourth movie, because after the wedding, or during the reception or whatever, the camera pans over to a newspaper that says that Cleaver is alive, found alive. So he didn't actually die. So we could see another movie with Hugh Grant in it. But I don't think they need to. I mean, this movie came out in 2016. I don't think they're doing any more Bridget Jones movies. But they could. They could. It was interesting, this movie, to see how old everybody looks. Made me feel old to watch this movie. It's like, oh, it's clearly 10 years later that this movie's taking place. But everybody loves Bridget, and I love these movies. They were a lot of fun. I like the positivity of this last one. It was funny. It was positive. It didn't kind of rely on the same misogynistic stuff that was in the previous two. It, like, grew up a bit, which I appreciate. So yeah, that's it. Bridget Jones's Baby, the final film, hopefully, in the Bridget Jones trilogy of movies, the trilogy of rom-coms. I don't know how many series, like franchises, there are in the rom-com genre, but the Bridget Jones, despite being like a franchise that somehow always manages to bring in love triangles, this one, I thought all of them, they were unique in the best ways and handled in the best ways, top to bottom. I really enjoyed these movies. I really did. They were a lot of fun. So if you're looking for a way to kind of unplug from the drama that is reality, I'd highly recommend checking out the Bridget Jones movies. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.